No way, dude. I can't believe it. Really? Really? Somebody taking accountability in this day and age? That's insane. Absolutely crazy material there, man. So yesterday we made the video talking about the Ottawa Senators and the Montreal Canadiens game and how everything kind of fell apart in regards to the good vibes. You know, there were no good vibes in that game. It was all harsh vibes, all hostile vibes. It all started when Ridly Greig took Kirby Dach out of the game with a hit wherein he lunged a little bit upwards and may have caught Dach a little bit up high. This hit took Dach out of the game at the end of the first period. In the second period, he returned though, so it was all good at Applewood. But Ridly Greig was in a pretty difficult spot because the Canadiens started pushing him around a lot more. They started shoving him, they started whacking at him. He did not answer the bell, though, until later in the third period when Kirby Dach ended up challenging him and they ended up fighting. The game in between those two moments, though, was filled with a lot more intensity and aggression. You had Arber Xhekaj hitting Tim Stützle in a similar fashion. Stützle ended up high-sticking himself because his stick actually made contact with his face if you looked at it from a certain camera angle. Arber Xhekaj and Yakemchuk got into it. Yakemchuk left the game. A lot of people were getting misconducts here and there. Eventually, Kirby Dach and Ridly Greig ended up fighting, and you can see more misconducts being handed out there. Earlier this morning, though, we did have Ridly Greig speak out about the incident and what happened. It's definitely a bad read on my part. I can understand why they'd be pissed off, Ridly Greig said on his hit to Kirby Dach. I had to keep my head up after that. And you know what? This is all he kind of needed to say. Realistically. We saw a lot of Sens fans yesterday in the comment section of my video and elsewhere on social media saying things like, oh, it was a good hit, it was a hockey play, it was clean, it was this, it was that. And that's kind of the thing here. It's not necessarily as to whether or not the hit was a good hit or a clean hit or whatever. It's whether or not it was the right thing to do at that time. And the same thing could be said about the Tim Stützle hit. Oh, did Xhekaj get Stützle up high? Was it a clean hit? Was it whatever? I said this in the video yesterday. I'll say it again. Both Ridly Greig and Xhekaj's hits were unnecessary and reckless. And for Arber Xhekaj to have gotten Brady Tkachuk involved in the scuffle as well, it just goes to show you the shrapnel as to how these situations can quickly unfold into more guys getting hurt than we had initially anticipated. For Ridly Greig, though, going out there and saying, hey, it's a bad read on my part, I shouldn't have made the hit, I can understand why they would be pissed off, that is all he needed to say. After his fight with Dach, Greig said, I think that was legitimately the most tired I've been in my life. It took me a solid 10 minutes to cool off. And, you know, this is where you start talking about accountability. You start talking about how guys go out there and defend themselves or take the L's themselves. And with all this in mind, I wanted to switch over and talk about some of the responses to these Greig comments. I mean, a lot of Canadiens fans in the replies are right there giving him props. Where are the Sens fans defending him right now? I'm hearing crickets. Okay, that's the first one, but that's a little bit more antagonistic. You can kind of see where they're coming from, though, because yesterday, I mean, social media was lit ablaze. Montreal versus Ottawa fans just going out there and pulling each other's hair out. Yeah, it was really ugly yesterday. But for a lot of Sens fans who were saying it was a clean hit, I guess Ridly Greig himself is disagreeing. Okay, maybe it was a clean hit in some people's minds, but was it a necessary hit? Ridly Greig is saying no. Respect to Greig for owning it and settling the score in the game. Yeah, exactly. He ended up fighting Kirby Dach after a while. It took the Canadiens a long time to get Greig to actually agree to fighting, but it ended up happening. Respect. Love that he's being honest. Took him a while to answer the bell, but he eventually did. Everything's settled. Now we move on. Yeah, move on indeed. Hopefully, the Montreal Canadiens play their final preseason game in 2024 against Ottawa once more on Saturday. So that's in 3 days from now. We'll see if the Canadiens and the Sens are able to kind of comment and have a really peaceful, normal hockey game on Saturday. Maybe not, but one can hope, right? We don't want to see any more injuries getting down there and bestowing themselves upon these players. Over-under on penalty minutes, folks? Do we want to say over-under 10? That's like max 2 fighting majors and nothing else? Or, okay, maybe over under 12. How about 12? Either 1 fight, so 2 fighting majors, and another minor penalty. Okay, maybe that's a little bit too low. I don't know, man. It feels kind of weird going up there into like the 2030s territory, but maybe there would need to be some sort of an over-under there in that kind of range. Either way, going back over to some of the comments here, a lot of Habs fans are going out there and giving this player his props, and a lot of people are throwing that word around. Respect. Respect to Greig for saying this. Respect to Greig for taking accountability. In fact, if you go over onto the Our Hockey thread, a lot of these similar things are being put out there. Respect to him for saying it. Hopefully our final preseason game will be a bit more chill now, but I have my doubts. Yes, please, 60 minutes of boring hockey would just be great. Good on him for saying that. Can we now please not try to murder each other in a meaningless game on Saturday? Yep, I agree with that. And to end things off, I wanted to go over one more thread here. This is from Ars13. Wow, I was not expecting that at all. Nice from Greig. Now hold on while I get rid of my pitchforks and torches. X-Diagnosis then gives us a pretty good report here. In our experience with him so far, while Greig is an absolute rat, he hasn't really been dirty, per se. This is very much in character for him. Plays hard on the ice, is annoying as hell, but he would know immediately that it was a bad hit and not try to defend it. Honestly, he's always given me more Gallagher vibes than Marchand. Greig hasn't really crossed a line before, unless you're Morgan Rielly. I love that he took the clapper, such an insane overreaction from Rielly, regardless of whether or not people thought it was appropriate or not, it was objectively hilarious. Yeah, that's another one of those things, right? It's not really dirty, it's not really illegal for him to have taken that slap shot on the empty net, but it was maybe a little bit unnecessary and kind of a slap in the face of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Either way, though, slap in the face or not, this definitely didn't hurt anybody when he did that. So, kind of towing the line there still. So at the end of the day, in my mind, as a Montreal Canadiens fan, I would like to think that everything has been settled and that Saturday's game should be filled with nothing but sunshines and rainbows and maybe a 1-0 shootout win, right? Everybody got a good kick in the can in this physical showcase that was yesterday's game. And with all the people going out there and making their comments and getting misconducts and taking their hits out on guys, with everybody seemingly okay afterwards, and the reason I'm saying that is because the Locked on Sens podcast had Steos as a guest earlier this morning, and he said that Brady, Timmy, and Shabby are all good. So, with everybody fine now, we can calm down. Right? Right? I don't know. We'll see what happens Saturday. But for now, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Ridly Greig and the comments that he had made, how he spoke out about his own wrongdoings in the game yesterday. Contrary to what many Senators fans may have been throwing out there, I think even Bruce Garriock said that the hit was clean. Contrary to all of that, it seems like Ridly Greig himself is taking accountability and saying that the hit was not the right move. It's a little different from Arbor Xhekaj, I'd say. We didn't see any comments from him. I think Martin St. Louis said it was good that Xhekaj was standing up for his teammates. I'm not too sure. I didn't do any research on that either way. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Greig. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.